Borthakur IAS Academy, an endeavor of excellence.
Borthakur IAS Academy.
Hello everyone, a warm welcome to Borthakur's IAS Academy, Northeast's premier institute for UPSC, APSC and NPSC preparations. I'm your friend Atrey and I hope you all are doing well and taking good care of yourselves. So today I'm here with another segment of Current Affairs 365 dated 28th of June 2021. Here we will be discussing all the important news and updates for today, which will help you for preparing in civil services examination, and along with that it is also going to be helpful for any other Assam state government services. Don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also follow us on Facebook as well as Instagram. Now without any further ado, let's get started. Now the first news is about 6 years of transformative urban missions. Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, they recently organized an online event to commemorate 6 years of the 3 transformative urban missions, namely SCM, Smart Cities Mission, Amrut, which stands for Atal Mission for Urban Rejuvenation and Urban Transformation, and lastly the PMAU, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban. This day also marked the 45 years of establishment of National Institute of Urban Affairs. Now coming to these 3 schemes, okay. Smart City Mission, it is an innovative initiative under the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs in order to drive economic growth and improve the quality of life of people by enabling local development as well as by harnessing technology as a means to create smart outcomes for citizens. Here the main objective is to promote cities that would provide core infrastructure and give a decent quality of life to all its citizens, and along with a clean and sustainable environment and with the application of smart solutions. The main focus here will be on sustainable and inclusive development and to look at compact areas, creating a replicable model which will act like a lighthouse to other aspiring cities also. Then they have this integrated command and control centers which will equip the cities to do more with less by graduating to real-time data-driven decisions. Then comes the Amrut mission. It was launched in June 2015 and here also the concerned ministry was Housing and Urban Affairs. The main purpose here was to ensure that every household has access to a tap with the assured supply of water and a sewage connection, and to increase the amenity value of cities by developing greenery and well-maintained open spaces, then to reduce pollution by switching to public transport or constructing facilities for non-motorized transport, for example cycling, walking, etc. And lastly we have the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban. It was launched on June 25, 2015 and it also it intends to provide housing for all in urban areas by the year 2022. The main features here are addressing urban housing shortage among the urban people, including the slum dwellers, by ensuring Pakka house to all the eligible urban poor people. Then the mission covers entire urban area consisting of statutory towns, notified planning areas, development authorities, then special area development authorities, industrial development authorities, or any such authority under state legislation which is entrusted with the functions of urban planning as well as regulations. Now let us see the progress that has been made in all these schemes, okay, all these missions. First we have the SCM. Here 70 cities have developed and operationalized under the integrated command and control centers in this mission, okay. Then in Amrut, so far around 1.05 crore household water tap connections and over 75 lakh sewer septage connections have been provided under this mission, and about 88 lakh street lights were replaced with energy efficient LED lights, leading to energy savings. Also 84.6 lakh tons of carbon footprint was reduced through various initiatives under the Amrut as per the Energy and Resource Institute. And lastly the PMAU. Here 1.12 crore houses has been sanctioned and over 83 lakh houses have grounded under this mission, and 16 lakh families are benefited from this scheme's credit linked subsidy scheme, and government investment under this mission created around 689 crore person days of employment, which is equal to 246 lakh jobs. Moreover, affordable rental housing complex scheme under PMAU for urban migrants or poor, they have elicited the remarkable response on ground. Some of the important launches during this event includes India Smart Cities Award of 2020. The award where these awards were given across the themes of social aspects, governance, culture, urban environment, sanitation, etc. Themes such as sustainable business model of ICC and innovation award, especially in COVID-19 management, are added in this year. And Indore and Surat, they have won the city award jointly this year for their overall development, and UP has won the state award. Then next is the Climate Smart Cities Assessment Framework 2.0. It was launched in September 2020 with an aim to provide an overarching roadmap to formulate, implement, as well as monitor the urban climate actions in our country. The top 9 performing cities here have been awarded 4 stars rating, and it includes Surat, Indore, Ahmedabad, Pune, etc. The next one is ICT initiative under Smart Cities, which includes the ICCC Maturity Assessment Framework. It is a self-assessment tool to help cities identify areas of improvement to deliver better services to all the citizens. Secondly, we have the Indian initiatives towards shaping energy transition. The Minister of State for New and Renewable Energy recently launched the India Story booklet, which is a compilation of Indian initiatives that are shaping India's energy transition. And this booklet was launched at an event on accelerating citizen-centric energy transition, which has been organized by the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. This was done in collaboration with the Permanent Mission of India to the United Nations and the Council on Energy, Environment and Water. They also launched a website here in this event, which will act as a repository of energy transition related knowledge resources from all around the world. In the last 6 years, India's installed renewable energy capacity has increased by over 2.5 times, and now it stands at more than 141 gigawatts. This accounts to about 37% of the country's total capacity. Moreover, the solar energy capacity has also increased by over 15 times, and now it stands at 41.09 gigawatt. India's RE capacity is the 4th largest in the world, and its annual addition has been exceeding that of a coal-based thermal power since the year 2017. During the last 7 years, over $70 billion investment has been made in this sector in our country, and India has a very liberal foreign investment policy for all the renewables, which is allowing 100% foreign direct investment through the automatic route. Ease of doing business is one of the topmost priority of our country, and it has also established a dedicated project development cell and FDI cell in all ministries for hand-holding the domestic and foreign investors. Then along with that, the Renewable Energy Investment Promotion and Facilitation Board portal has been developed. This is going to provide one-stop assistance and facilitation to the industry and investors for development of projects and bringing new investments to the RE sector of our country. Several members from the industry have voluntarily declared RE goals and have committed to the Carbon Disclosure Project, Renewable 100% and Science-Based Targets projects. So CDP, that is Carbon Disclosure Project, is a global disclosure system which will enable companies, cities, states as well as regions to measure and manage their environmental impacts. Then this science-based targets, these are greenhouse gas reduction goals which are set up by they are set by the businesses. Then rules are being framed for a green tariff policy that will help electricity distribution companies to supply electricity which has been generated from clean energy projects at a cheaper rate as compared to all the other power from conventional fuel sources. Government is also promoting green hydrogen with obligations for fertilizers and refining industries. Some other initiatives which are aimed at increasing investment in renewables includes the viability gap funding options for offshore wind energy, then Green Team Ahead Market and Green Day Ahead Market, rules for facilitating RE through open access, as well as RE procurement through exchanges, which will also be notified to promote non-conventional resources of energy. So the next news is about National Maritime Heritage Complex. The Ministry of Culture along with the Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways, they have signed a MOU for cooperation in development of the National Maritime Heritage Complex. It will be developed in Lothal region of Gujarat, and this would be developed as an international tourist destination. Here the maritime heritage of our country from ancient to the modern period will be showcased, and here the idea is to create an edutainment, okay, so that it attracts all its visitors. Edutainment is education clubbed with entertainment. It is going to be appealing as well as informative. So this complex is going to cover an area of 400 acres, and there will be structures like Heritage Theme Park, National Maritime Heritage Museum, Lighthouse Museum, eco resorts and much more. There will also be many pavilions where all the coastal states of our country along with the union territories, they can showcase their artifacts and maritime heritages. One of the unique feature of this complex is recreation of ancient Lothal city. We all know Lothal city was one of the prominent cities of Indus Valley civilization. It was one of the southernmost cities of Indus Valley civilization, which is located at Gujarat, and its construction began around 2400 BCE. As per the Archaeological Survey of India, Lothal also had the world's earliest known dock, okay, which connected the city to an ancient course of the Sabarmati river, and this provided a trade route between the Harappan cities in Sindh to the peninsular part of Saurashtra. Lothal was also a vital and thriving trade center in ancient times, and the trade of beads, gems and other valuable ornaments, they were quite famous, and because of that it had far-reaching. Lothal was also a vital and thriving trade center in ancient times, and its trade of beads, gems and other valuable ornaments was quite famous. The techniques and tools which they pioneered for bead making and in metallurgy, they have stood the test of time for over 4,000 years now. And Lothal site has also been nominated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and its application is pending on the tentative list of UNESCO. Now coming to Indus Valley civilization, I'm sure you all are aware of what is Indus Valley civilization. It is also known as the Harappan civilization, and it flourished around 2500 BC in the western part of South Asia, which is contemporary Pakistan and Western India. It was home to one of the largest of the four ancient urban civilizations of Egypt, Mesopotamia, India as well as China. It was basically an urban civilization where people lived in well-planned and well-built towns, okay, and there was also a center for trade. They had wide roads and well-developed drainage systems. Along with that, the houses, they were made up of baked bricks, and they had one or more stories as well. The highly civilized Harappans, they knew the art of growing cereals. That means they were aware of agricultural techniques, and they also knew how to raise wheat as well as barley as their staple food. By the time 1500 BC, the Harappan culture, it came to an end, and among the various causes that has been ascribed to the decay of Indus Valley civilization, some of them includes the recurrent floods and other natural causes like earthquakes, etc. The fourth news is about International MSME Day. Every year, Micro, Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises Day is celebrated on 27th of June in order to recognize the contribution of these industries in implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. The United Nations, they designated 27th of June as MSME Day through a resolution which was passed in the General Assembly of the year 2017. And a program titled Enhancing National Capacities for Unleashing Full Potentials of MSMEs in Achieving the SDGs in Developing Country was also launched the same year, and it has been funded by the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development Sub-Fund of the United Nations Peace and Development Fund. The United Nations, it wants all the countries to recognize the Sustainable Development Goals and create awareness about the same. As per an International Trade Center survey on COVID-19 impact among businesses in 136 countries, it has shown that nearly 62% of women-led small businesses have been strongly affected by this crisis as compared to just over half of firms which are led by men. And women owned are 27% more likely not to survive this pandemic. Okay, so the role of, if we come to the role of MSMEs in Indian economy, then we can say that these are the growth accelerators, as they contribute to about 30% of the country's GDP. In terms of exports, they are also an integral part of the supply chain and contributes to about more than 48% of the overall exports. MSMEs, they have played an important role in employment generation because they employ about 100 million people across our country. And this year's theme is key to an inclusive and sustainable recovery. The next news is about light detection and ranging based forest survey. The Union Environment Minister recently, in a virtual event, he released the DPR, detailed project report, of the light detection and ranging based survey of forest areas in 10 states. And this 10 states, the name of the 10 states has been highlighted here. Assam is also included under this in this state list, okay, states list. Then the project regarding survey of forest areas project, it was awarded to the WAPCOS in July 2020 at a cost of over 18 crore for implementation in 26 states. And WAPCOS is a Mini Ratna public sector undertaking, PSU, under the Jal Shakti Ministry. This is a first of its kind and a unique experiment using the LiDAR technology. This is going to help augment water and fodder in jungle areas, which will reduce the human-animal conflicts. And LiDAR technology has been found to be 90% accurate. It has found to have 90% accuracy. The states will be given some compensatory afforestation fund management and planning authority funds to use in this project. And this compensatory afforestation fund management and planning authority, CAMPA, is meant to promote afforestation and regeneration activities as a way of compensating for forest land diverted to non-forest uses. This organization was established actually to manage the compensatory afforestation funds, and it acts as the custodian of the CAMPA fund. One major ridge inside a forest block is identified in these states, okay, in the 10 states, with an average area of around 10,000 hectare selected in each state. And these area should have average rainfall of the state and requires excessive natural generation. So the main significance of this particular initiative is actually, besides reducing human-animal conflict, it will also help in identifying areas with need of underground groundwater recharge, which will in turn help local communities. And this is also going to help in catching rainwater and prevent stream runoff, which is going to help in recharging the groundwater. And finally, it will help in recommending different types of soil and water conservation structures. Now coming to this technology of LiDAR, okay, it is a remote sensing method that uses light in the form of a pulsed laser to measure ranges of variable distances. These light pulses, combined with other data recorded by the airborne system, they generate precise three-dimensional information about the shape of the Earth and its surface characteristics. LiDAR instrument, it principally consists of a laser scanner and a specialized GPS receiver. GPS stands for Global Positioning System. Airplanes and helicopters, they are the most commonly used platforms for acquiring LiDAR data over board areas. And the LiDAR follows a simple principle: throw laser light at an object on the Earth's surface and calculate the time it takes to return to the source. So given the speed at which the light travels, the process of measuring the exact distance through LiDAR, it appears to be incredibly fast. Moreover, it is commonly used to make high resolution maps with applications in surveying, then geomatics, archaeology, geography, etc. They are also used as laser guidance, airborne laser in airborne laser swath mapping, as well as laser altimetry. So this was all for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it will help you and this is going to be beneficial for you all. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also follow us on Facebook as well as Instagram for any exam related updates. I'll see you all again tomorrow. Till then, take care, keep learning. Bye bye.
বৰঠাকুৰ IAS Academy প্ৰস্তুতি আৰু অধ্যয়নৰ নিৰ্ভৰযোগ্য ঠিকনা।
বৰঠাকুৰ IAS Academy। Academy.